Good.
Ага, ладно.
Ну хорошо. Давай
И
тогда.
подписать, наверное, ладно. Ну, если с разных сторон, как формулировать. Мне сказали, надо быстро, нужно сделать, сейчас такая...
Я понимаю.
Они даже оформлены не очень, типа, в этом
oil. Alright guys, I have a little window between other students and other assistants and master and the other artists next door start coming in. There's going to be probably a lot of noise around here. But what I want to say welcome to Asylum Atelier, welcome to Creative Discourse, welcome to this project that I've been working on for a while right now. It's probably day 20 or 20th stream that I'm doing of this particular painting. I'm streaming it, or I'm trying to stream it live from the St. Petersburg Academy of Arts, or Imperial Academy. Some of you might know it. It's a very, very old institution. And I'm working on my diploma painting. It's kind of a long ongoing project. I don't really have well, how would I put this? I don't really have a chance to talk you through the process, what I'm thinking about as much as I'm used to, because I'm trying to be respectful to another fellow artist that they work next to me. We have actually walls, but the ceilings are open, so you can hear between the studios. There's like a little separations, and the reason is because we need a little more light. So there are windows that goes higher above the walls. It's just for us to have a little bit of a privacy when we work. So yeah, this is a project that I'm working on currently right now. There's a lot of changes that I made throughout the process. Some more noticeable even right now. For some of you, it's this group right here. It was two figures that were roughly positioned here and were kind of going out to the edge. I didn't like it. I discussed the fact that I don't like them there multiple times. So I decided to change it a little bit, not much, but a little bit. And when I said a little bit, I mean I was thinking mostly about the shape and how the shape is going to connect to rest of the figures. I wrote a couple lines, or maybe like a small paragraph or explanation about what's happening there right now, or why the decision I made in this area on a Discord. So if you're interested, you can read about it there. Оль, тебе не будет мешаться, если я буду на английском говорить?
Нет, говори, конечно.
Точно нет?
Да. Я все равно ничего не понимаю.
О, это не то, чтобы ты не понимала. Я не такой сложный английский использую. Это чтобы тебя это не отвлекало от работы, если кто-то здесь болтает.
Хорошо.
Да? Но если будет это мешаться, скажи, что заткнись. Надоело тебя слышать.
Я сейчас в наушниках буду, так что...
Хорошо. So yeah, there's a short paragraph on Discord that I explained a little bit why this change happened, and it was due to or related to actually really great point that Token Princess made about the fact that she does not understand what's happening there and why I have made that change, which I agree completely. I wasn't sure myself if it's a right way. So if you, or right thing to do, but if you want to know more about that, I would highly recommend you to either continue working alongside me on your paintings, because I go periodically over these changes and why they happened, or you can also check out some previous videos that I'm trying to post and store on YouTube channel there to get a little bit more understanding about what's happening. And if you want to get involved, feel free to go ahead and join this creative discourse here, because that's what we do. We paint alongside each other and exchanging this information and ideas and remarks and constructive criticism. There's no wrong thing to say here, as long as it should benefit us as a painters or artists, if you wish, because this is not only about the painters that paint with oil paints. This actually can be beneficial for sculptors, architects, musicians, writers, whatever art discipline there is there, digital paint, digital sculpture, so on and so forth, because ideas are basically the same, or not the same. These ideas are things that we talk about here are applicable to different disciplines, because they're not necessarily about, oh, this is how you draw the hand. There is plenty of better videos about how to do it online that I could ever do. Obviously, you can see that I'm not as skillful with these things as other artists that really dedicate their time and put their attention into actually educating in terms of how to paint when it comes to the technical point. I mean, we talk about techniques and so on and so forth, but these are a little bit more advanced ideas that they are directly related to what I am trying to do with the pigment and with the paint and with the paintings, rather than just like, oh, this is how you draw a head. Because I don't think that there is a necessary another video about how to draw a head. There is plenty of these there. I'm providing you that shared atelier space where I paint the head, and then we can discuss whether or not this head is actually communicating properly, when it's adding to the overall a feeling of a composition. If it's it needs to be adjusted, maybe left and right, and so on and so forth. As I mentioned on the Discord and here multiple times, 95% of my work are mistakes. And I wouldn't say even mistakes, they're just tests whether this or that is going to work. And if you look on previous streams, this painting involved, the figures moved left and right. That part completely changed. I add another figure here, then I just put it away, then I added again. So I moved the cross back and forth, the hands, the feet. 2 days ago or 3 days ago, there was a whole foot and leg actually painted there. So it's more about that evolution of a painting rather than just a specific way how to paint. All right, and since I'm in the middle of adjusting these things, I felt that I brought a little bit more attention right here, and I don't know how far I can push it, because this guy right now doesn't look developed enough. And when I said developed, I mean from the point of view of, I'm thinking about the perspective, atmospheric perspective, right? So these figures are the closest to me, and it's a focal point, so they should have the most attention to them. And when I say most attention, I'm thinking about hierarchy of tone, edge, and detail, saturation, so on and so forth, opacity, and also chroma, if you wish, probably. And then also the position in the composition, right? So in this, the whole painting, he actually occupies the position where the thirds of the canvas would be. Not that I am interested in that much necessarily, but that will be one of the things that you could find there when it comes to composing and you don't know what to do. So I used that actually third, the dividing a canvas into thirds as my grid, and then I realized, oh, I actually placed him and his head into that position. Somehow, I wouldn't say accidentally, because it's not only about him, but he kind of fits into that position. All right, so I'm going to be working on this guy a little bit more here. I need the better gesture. I need to give him a little bit more of emotion, because he felt stale, and not only he felt stale, compositionally it was too much of a repetition. So I have to work on these, excuse me, a little bit more. So I hope that that little introduction gave you a time to set up your stuff and get ready to paint. And I see DM7 still don't know what to paint today. Why don't you paint yourself? That's always, that's the Rembrandt's answer to everything. A quick self-portrait or sketch that you can develop a little bit more further and be a little bit more free with the, with the tilt maybe. Because that's what I need, right? I'm actually, when you look at these portraits, I mean, these guys all have, like a bald head, and I'm thinking about bald heads all the time, because that's, and I'm painting mostly myself from a different angles, or I'm using myself. And the reason is because I want to see the rotation and position in the space first before I start covering it with hair, because hair can actually do you a lot of harm when it comes to volume. I tend to really mess up things when it comes to hair, because I can quickly just think of that as a flat shape rather than just something that is on top of. Привет. On top of a curvature surface, or curvature, or three-dimensional surface. And I have a lot of reflection left and right, so I have to go back and forth to see whether or not it works. Geez, I don't know if my brain has enough power to focus on a complicated subject like myself. Well, that is I'm gonna add to this joke. I know that you're joking, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm as self-observant as you just described. I'm the center of the attention, I'm the center of the universe, and I'm the most important person there is to be painted. And I painted myself how many times? 12 times again. I'm looking at it and I see a lot of reflection here. So it's kind of difficult for me to see whether or not I'm painting it. Correctly. Another thing is that if I move to a position where I don't see a reflection, then I'm painting it under the angle, right? So canvas is right now angled this way, and when I step back, I'm not looking at like it's not like a front plane. It's not exactly perpendicular to my eyes, and it's creating the feeling of then when I move it to the when I centralize it, then it feels like I'm looking at it from the side. It's that effect that they used to create on the arches that they painted it under that kind of a feeling of. So you see actual figure when you're standing down on the ground, not when you're on the focal point. I admire you for that. For me, I'm like I prefer to do a study of egg, at least is in the most basic form as it can be. Maybe I should just paint myself as an egg. You can't paint yourself as an egg because I start with the egg. Like all these heads are eggs. Like look at this one. This is totally an egg. This is an egg, or used to be an egg. Here is an egg. There is an egg, egg. Those are egg heads. I do the same thing. It's just I'm using myself as a reference because I don't have anybody else who would actually come here at 8 a.m. and start, moving and twisting. So you can start it as an egg and think about it as an egg, and then you just start adding eyes and nose, and maybe create some random a portrait that is loosely based on your portrait. And the fact is that this actually starting to look like me more than I would like to. Also, this person right here looks like a younger me with the short hair. You should like eggs. I get what you're saying, though. I do. I do. I think the egg is actually a great thing. I love egg fried rice. Speaking about fried rice, did you get the what is it? Air fryer. I know, air fryer joke again. A little bit more. I think that his nose is too underdeveloped, so maybe I could push the nose a little bit lighter. And yesterday I also created that Velasquez medium, so I have a little bit of a different consistency. So let's see, I painted those figures there yesterday, and I'm sorry that I didn't stream yesterday, but I didn't have internet connection, like literally zero. I couldn't connect to YouTube. Couldn't connect to anything actually. I'm going to push this a little bit more forward, and you can see that I'm not actually painting you're cloning yourself in your art. I'm too loyal of my lonely oven. Did you get one? No, I didn't get one. I can't really afford that, truth to be told. But going back to that egg discussion, actually, it is an egg, and then right now I'm starting to move the forms around to create something that looks less like an egg and more like a human, which is not always the case. A little bit of a, let's do green. No worries, it happens. Yeah, well, it's happening to me. It has been happening to me for a while. I don't want to say that I'm complaining, not at all. It's just I know that all my resources are being poured into art, so it's okay. I think I can live without air fryer. And maybe I don't know what I'm missing on with the air fryer, so okay, I have to push him a little bit more. Maybe internet's trying to tell you to get that air fryer. Yeah, yeah. But then here's the thing: if I get the air fryer, I won't have enough money to get the pigments. And I kind of need pigments, believe it or not, in order to finish this painting. And they're not cheap. So I might just go old school with a boiled or steamed or whatever. Yeah, boiled vegetables in the soup. Yeah, it was just a bad joke. No, no, it wasn't a bad joke. I'm continuing this misery. It's actually fine to talk about it a little bit. It makes me feel. It's just alleviate that pressure from the shoulders. I'm totally cool with that. Maybe I could push his hair a little bit more out this way to give him a little bit more of that. And perhaps I could push his the background a little bit. See, I forgot to put my background in. That is way too dark and way too blue. Maybe I could hit it with more like a purplish. Let's see if this is not the worst one. And let me get a little bit of that Velasquez medium, or the analog of a Velasquez medium, something that I made myself to make a pigment work or apply slightly differently. Yeah, yeah, I still don't feel that his posture is totally right. I mean, maybe it should go a little higher. Let me. What was I thinking there? Yeah, I was thinking that he's holding something in his hand, and I don't have that hand reference. Maybe I could use the same one that I did for myself for the carriage, but that's under the different angle. So I don't think that that's going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work. Maybe I should do another one. So he's there, making a move, holding it this way. Okay. So we would be, let me see the, and I have a mirror right here, another one where I'm posing myself, the hands, and so it goes out because it's like he's balancing it. So he's holding one thing in this hand because it's heavy. He's trying to keep it steady. I'm looking at my shoulder, and his shoulder should be okay. That's the problem. His shoulder is too low. Yeah, that's what's up. See, I just I don't have model here that will pose for me this, so I had to use myself. That's why I so I mean, it's not that I would like myself so much that I need to look at myself, but let me just get this. Of course, I'm holding two palette knives in my hand, not necessarily useful. I have like a little crust on top because I'm trying to dry my pigments a little bit so they're slightly less oily. But this one's probably sitting there for a while. But it's all good. And maybe I can move a palette a little bit this way, because it doesn't seem that it shows the top pigments enough. Yeah. I just realized that. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, okay. But there is a, it's the same palette, same setup that I always have. Yeah, I need to move him a little bit more this way. His shoulder needs to be a little bit more higher up, maybe even higher, I think. Let me try to push it higher. Could it be here? Oh, I think it could. Then I could push this in to that background so it kind of goes behind. Because you also have that. That could give him a little bit more of the understanding of what's happening here. And then I made him a little too green. I realized that. It's because I was picking up a lot of pigments from the bottom. I'm also going to have an ad break in like 4 minutes, so don't forget to stand up from and step away from your painting, refresh your eyes, take a little breather, get yourself a tea, coffee, some delicious liquid beverage, preferably, in my case for sure, non-alcoholic. That's one thing that I can't do. I can't work unless my mind is 100%. And that's why you don't hear me listening to music that much these days. It's just really got into my way of thinking for some reason. I don't know. And I used to listen to music from morning till evening. I used to have I remember I was so against a Bluetooth headphones, and then the first time I got them, first day, I did not, catch the cable or drag the cable through the pallet, or I didn't almost hang myself on the cable. It was so refreshing, and from that moment, excuse me, I used to use 2 sets of headphones, Bluetooth headphones, because they can't go more than 4 hours when you really listen to music. So I used to switch them while I'm listening to one. I have other ones on a charger. And right now I barely use headphones. Anyway, I'm still thinking about and in my mind there's a kind of a roller deck with things that I have to check before again moving into these adjustments, because I'm thinking about that silhouette, how it turns here, continue here, it's going down, how it's connect here, and whether it works, because I can actually connect these behind the hand into shoulder, into them, right, with the shape and implied lines. So I'm trying to figure it out whether or not it's going to work, and I'm thinking about that. This is again more on this topic. You can definitely check out in the previous streams. It's just that I am going here, right? But I'm looking at this and how it actually connects with this guy right here. So that's the shape. That's what I'm taking into consideration. I understand that sometimes maybe shoulder has to go even higher, but what if the higher angle is going to change that silhouette, that movement that I'm looking for? Then I have to go into the roller deck a little bit more back, or add more another request, and that would be what other position of the body I can use that would help me to describe that motion. So I can push the shoulder a little bit in the back. Let me see if I have some reference to this. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. There might be. It actually might go a little bit more. A little bit more this way even. Could I push it even more far out? Well, let's see. more pigment loaded with the brush, because there are layers of paint there. Ooh, and my internet connection died. Seems like it. Hmm. What is happening again? I could maybe leave it here. And make a little break here. And then push this. Let's see if this is going to work. I need to open this a little bit more to show that it's going forward, like so, and then also behind. Yep. And then I could push this higher up, move this here. There's going to be a pinch, and then out, and this can go this way. So what I'm trying to do, I'm also trying to show that, you know, you are trying to balance it. I don't know what happened with the connection again, but it seems like it was because of the ad break, which should start in 20 seconds. So let's take a break. 4 minutes, I think. But I'm going to continue a little bit more because I was talking. So plus, I don't have a time for break. I'm just breaking everything that I just said that you're supposed to do. might be a little too bright as a hand, but that's okay. I'm just looking for a shape right now, so I need to see it before I assign for it. And then maybe I could push this a little bit more like higher up, like here, right, to show that sky again behind him, so we have that airiness through, right? So they're not occupying just so they don't really look the same way. And maybe, and I'm just looking at it right now, maybe we could squeeze another portrait right here. That would be stupid, but why not? Because I just saw a little bit of a kind of an egg shape right here. So maybe there could be another person right here in the background, right? Just to give the mass, because I don't feel that there's not. It almost feels like there's not enough people there. So let's see how much I can, how many things I can create there and complicate the stuff. Maybe it should go, because I'm thinking, or it could actually be a sky there and then continuation of the mountains that they will kind of caught up there. That might be actually better. I don't know. And see, these are the things that I also mentioned in that little Discord paragraph there. And that's what I like. I like to actually go into the, not even necessarily explanation of a problem, but maybe explanation of a thought process behind what I'm doing. A little bit more into depth. And it's because even though the solutions are simple, sometimes the way how we arrive to them, it's quite unnecessarily complicated, but we don't know, we're just searching. And that's where those mistakes are so important for me. I thrive in those mistakes. I don't know why is it so. Maybe it's some kind of a, like a, self-harm kind of a thing. I don't know. That sounds wrong. I'm taking it back. It's not that. It's just like I have no shame anymore when it comes to bad paintings. Speaking about bad paintings, this is a bad painting Friday, so I should start throwing things around randomly. And that's another thing, is just, they just all look like they're here and here and here, and everybody looks so close to each other. So the moment when you start moving these limbs forward and backward, you're creating that depth of field. Maybe his dress should be a little thicker here. Might be a little too much. Oh, maybe if I just move him a little bit. The only problem that I have right now, he looks like this needs to go together, because right now it looks like they're next to each other, because there's a long tangent there. I don't know if you can see it. This is the tangent that I'm talking about, like this. Hand looks like exactly touching the the fabric of the front figure, and it has to go either behind or forward, depends on the position, and he should be behind because that's in front of him. So let me just connect that. Still feels that way. Maybe I could push the there's a little bit more here. Make it a little bit more developed forward. Yeah, that might actually work. But right now he looks like he's like super strong, like broad shoulders. And it's because I am not showing the fact that this is curving here. Okay. So this is where his shoulder is. It's going forward towards us. Or is it not? Oh, it might be too much. Maybe this way. Maybe this way. And that would give me a little bit more of a option to show this. And it's going here and then out. And I can push that. Bit of that Velasquez medium. Or analog of a Velasquez medium, rather. I'm gonna use more yellow. So it's going all the way behind back. Behind, down. Behind and back. And maybe it could go even more this way. And then as this go, there's going to be a little bunching there. This is going to be in the shadow. A little bunching of a fabric, and then this can just go that way. So I'm thinking about this as a three-dimensional object, and I'm trying to model the form, not model the form. What I was thinking about is that because I felt that just he was too skinny, he was too thick, right? When I was looking at the shape, and that's sometimes something that really works against me, because I'm looking at the shape and it looks too thick, so I'm trying to make it smaller or thinner, right? But then there's another problem, because his torso is slightly, it's under the angle, so I do not see only the front, but also I see a side. So the shape is okay. The orientation of where the torso is and what it's doing and how the hand is going outside, it was not necessarily correct. And this is probably my biggest, like something that I really have to think about when I draw or paint, when it comes to shapes, and also that three-dimensional feel. That when I see a shape, it's a two-dimensional, it goes from point A to point B, and I'm looking at the silhouette, and then the thickness of and then I'm looking the breaking point of planes, large planes within that silhouette. I have to constantly remind myself that that's what's happening. And then I could maybe push this maybe a little bit warmer. I don't even warmer, like less saturated area, but still lighter here, and then might be another figure there anyway. Maybe underneath here. So that would be that land continues there, which kind of connects them together. Did I get disconnected again? I guess I did. Well, this is what's going to happen, probably because of Friday. Or the storm is coming, because it's just really a windy and cloudy weather outside. I mean, perfect for just sitting and reading and maybe writing. I did a little writing yesterday, so I'm not opposed to this, but yeah, I think this might work. I just need to make it a little bit more. Maybe the gesture is not enough. And maybe I should tilt it. Okay, maybe I should go the other way around. Okay, let me see that. So instead of being pointing this direction, maybe his torso could point this direction. And again, it's just we still can see a side here because of twist, and it's gonna go here this way. So my hand, the other hand, could be right here. And if he's balancing, there should not be that much of a difference between the hands. This hand is a little too low. I think that's another problem, that the hand is too low. So I have a head, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the mid part. Yeah, the other hand is too low. All right, so process of elimination of mistakes. So the hand should be somewhere around here. Maybe I could make this one a little lower to give them, because they're almost on the same size, but same in the same let me maybe push it a little bit more here, outside. Yeah. And push it here, this way. So I go over that. Yeah. And then I could actually move it this way here, in front of it, and this is where his clothes are going to be going down. Yeah, that would be better. So I'm going to do that. Let's see. I'm gonna again scrape a little bit. Brush, so I need this. I need a little bit of this. A little bit of light. That's too much. Let's make it a little darker and less saturated. A little warmer. That might be a little too greenish. So let's push it with a little bit more of a this combination. Yeah, a little better. Oh, because he was not, working with these guys at all. Oops, never mind. So let's unify this so I can see it again as one continuous shape. And I mentioned this with that writing. That my thought process is step number one, it's abstract art. Step number two, it's more like an impressionism. And step number three is more towards that naturalism then. And I rinse and repeat that process till I find what I'm looking for, right? So it's like a process of elimination of all the possibilities. So he almost looks like, again, he disappears in the background, but I'm looking for a nice, pleasing shape that describes the gesture, and he's holding something in his hands. And it's not something, I'm thinking that he's holding that. Maybe I could make the hand a little bit more visible from one side and from the other. Maybe his whole hand could be actually out. Or whole arm, whole arm. He feels warm. To get that gesture right. So this is that, shape manipulation, and I'm just throwing the pigments there. I'm thinking about light and dark right now. What do I need to create that separation from the background, but also unifying it with it, right? So it's that back and forth. Yeah, maybe he could have that redness in his hands that I was talking about with the figures. That might be definitely right now. What I'm doing, what I'm thinking about. This is me, because you could oftentimes find me in the winter with my sleeves rolled up to my elbows, because that's how I control. Somehow I can control the temperature of my body by rolling up my sleeves. I hate that something goes down to my sleeve. Like, this is the part that I don't like to be, that doesn't like to be covered, on both sides. So you would see me like there's a autumn, not complete winter, but autumn. I always have like and I might have actual gloves, and then I might roll up this, because I'm cold on the tip of the fingers. But the part of a wrist, I really like when it's exposed to a cold weather. It's a weird thing, I know. It's just but it's what it is. And it would never be this red, but I need that redness there because I have a lot of pigment underneath. So when I'm going to scratch and go into it, it's just, yeah, I think this is a better tone and better value. And in this position, and the gesture that I'm trying to get, I think I need a little bit more of that, like a silhouette of an arm, to get that convincing feel. Right, because if I put the sleeve there, I won't be able to show the but he definitely needs to hold something in his hands, because right now he just looked like someone who's just like, what's happening? I'm gonna get you, like, like one of a bros, rather than just someone who struggles to get up to a hill. This is the anatomy that I care about, like that I'm always talking about, like whether or not it actually works as a gravity. And then he could have something in his hand, like there's the opening for the hand, and he's holding that, that basket that I was talking about. Same thing that I had, I'm just trying to, because there's a lot of things that we kind of figured out already together with that previous painting, what they could wear, what they could carry or hold in their hands, and so on and so forth. So right now what I'm doing is I am thinking about how to continue that idea. Maybe there could be again, to show a little bit of that background, maybe. So I can show the wrist. Right, in order to show that wrist, and right now I can tell that this might go way too darker, or way darker. That would be like an inside of the arm, right? So instead of actually painting it there and outlining it, I'm just trying to use the background as a one way to think about it, and then let's connect it with this. Right, so and then right now I'm starting to see the thickness of his rope, which is not that bad. It just needs to be adjusted a little bit. And the question is, maybe I could go full on. Let me see. Yeah, maybe he could even have not even necessarily only a. Let's do that. Not only he has a. You remember I talked about the dirty hands, dirty feet. Why wouldn't he have dirty hands? So maybe I can go all the way to this kind of a. Oh yeah, that might actually be way better. So his hands are dirty. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Right? So it doesn't jump out that much, but still it's going to be, yeah, way better. This is what I was looking for. Cool. And right now I can hit it with a little bit more of a light right here as his wrist then disappears into that. And then maybe it could go more saturated here. Lighter and more saturated here. To show it from the other side. Right, so this is where the hand is. This is where the forearm is. A little bit from one side, a little bit from the other side, and it's also being overlapped. This is why I think that landscape painting is so important. As a tool in your maybe even lighter. So we'll just really separate that. So it's there, but it's not there. Yep. Cool. Ended up doodling a mermaid on a random paper next to me with a pen. See, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's exactly what I'm doing. It's bed painting Friday. I'm doodling this figure right here. There's no real difference. hand might be too short right now. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Let me just see. Yeah, it is. 1, 2. It is. So this one needs to be longer as well. Okay. So I can push it a little bit more here, down, and this guy can go down a little bit more. Yeah, it looks better. Okay, yeah, it looks better. Yeah, and he has like the dirty hands, and then as it goes up, slightly less dirty and lighter. And then here is his, here would be the, here could it connect to his body this way, right? Yeah, I think this might work. I will then put a little bit of shadow there. I'll drop, this is the one that it's holding, and he's like this, so this needs to go up, higher up. This one's going lower. Okay. All right, now we're somewhere that will give me that desirable direction for the arm, for another arm. And also maybe I could push him even more here. So he's not as thick around the waist. Yeah, and he also can go maybe darker. As I go lower. Really dark maybe. So I'll connect them together. Yes, at least you're painting with oil. I'm still too afraid to do with oil here. No, it's okay. It's fine. It's not important what you're doodling with. Or is it? I don't know. I don't think it is. So I wouldn't stress about it that much. I think that I could maybe push this even more in here to give him that pinch. He might look too skinny right now. But then I can also add on the other side. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm missing, a little bit more of that curvature. Softening these transitions. Maybe a little bit more out here, and pushing this in slightly, because I want to create that. The only problem is that I don't see his top shoulder, so I have to show everything on one side, and that's what's causing a little bit of a problem with that, kind of a visually. And then there should be another person behind him here. Cool, we can still add him there. And then maybe I could, that might be the problem. Maybe this is too high up, the breaking point. Maybe I should put it a little lower. That might solve a lot of problems, maybe. Maybe I can then shift this a little lower. Almost like so. Maybe this is starting to look a little better. Maybe if we go on this way a little bit more. I'm looking for a shape that it's again properly positioned and it has appropriate size for the body and the head. short break because I need to go down to a department for foreign students to pick up some documents. But I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Right, I'm back. I did again nothing because nobody was there. That was a pointless trip, but that's what it is. Anyway, at least I had a chance to refresh my eyes, and I'll see that there's going to be ad break again. I think that that's what's happening. I might actually dismiss it. So dismiss, no ad breaks. That might be when just it feels like that's what's trying to connect, reconnect. I have no idea. I have no idea. It just drops the frame rate and it's trying to reconnect. Anyway, my apologies for that, but nothing I can do. I can continue painting. So should you, if you're painting alongside with me. I'm working on this figure right here. It's just it's giving me not necessarily a headache, but a little trouble to position it. But it's okay. It's all fun and games. And I'm thinking maybe I could actually push it behind him. Hear me out. Well, this one is going front of him. I could maybe push this one behind and still show that that he's something holding in his hand. I was actually, when I was walking down the stairs, I was thinking about that I could actually put this front of him to cut the hand a little bit. And then I have that opening here and it goes down inside, and then there is what's holding right there. So it would be like an overlap, but with a slightly different order. Right? So when it's a slightly different order, I mean, this is the first, he is second, and then the stuff that he's holding in his hand, it's behind him. So it's third, and then we have a background. And the reason why I wanted to do it that way is because I would have 1, 2, 3, 5 things repeating, like in the same order as it progresses in the background. So I have him, then it's a jump, then it's this, and then that's the stuff behind. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's what was in my mind. And the reason is because looking, like if we were looking at it like a top view, right, it would be him right here, and then it curves to him and the stuff that is behind him, and that is that curve that I'm also trying to push with the flowers there. So it's just kind of going from behind towards the front, so I'm creating that Z shape in the distance. I don't know if it's going to read properly, but that's what's in my head at this point. Let me just move maybe this camera a little bit more this way, so you can see the whole painting. Yeah. So this is what I'm thinking, that as it curves behind, it gives another layer of that feeling. This might all be in my head. I was told that it's all in my head, but I truly believe subconsciously, if we would, well, it cannot be only in my head, because if I look at this and my brain analyzes the positions and overlaps, it automatically is going to give that sense, because that's how overlaps works. So it might be in my head, and it feels like it's unperceivable, but maybe that's even better if it's a subconscious, that you read it that way, so it doesn't take that much attention away from a focal point. Maybe, I'm not sure. And maybe I'm overthinking it and I'm killing the painting with this slowly but surely. But same problem, I won't be able to, I'm not going to be sure 100% unless I put it there and see that it doesn't work. Because, you know, it's it's just simply a theory in my head which is extremely blurry, right? And it doesn't work whatsoever unless I see it. So it's like an idea. Like you have an idea for something, and then unless you actually make it happen and work, and you succeed with it, you won't be able to, with certainty, you won't be able to say anything about that with certainty. It's just it stays in that stage of, oh, it could have been something. And that's what kind of a that's the point of me repainting and painting and putting it there, and adding and subtracting. Which I mentioned previously. It's that kind of a Venetian school of thought. And when I said Venetian, I'm talking about the Renaissance. Because there were these schools. There was a Florentine schools of thought and painting, right? Da Vinci, Raphael. When it comes to sculpture, it was a Michelangelo, of course. We can't forget that. Uh, they were, they had a certain way of thinking about art and describing it, and then painting, right? Leonardo da Vinci would probably never just throw pigment on top of unprepared canvas. And when I say unprepared canvas or unprepared wooden board or unprepared fresco, I mean without underpainting or underdrawing. I'm sorry. Everything was laid down and prepared beforehand, and the painting was just an execution of that plan, a perfect execution, I might add to that. Whereas when you look at Titian, which is little, well, let's call it contemporary because it's Renaissance. It's just it's the same period. His contemporary Titian, he's, it's that Venetian school that I'm talking about. Uh, he wouldn't draw or sketch probably underneath, and not probably. I don't think that we can't say with certainty anything what was happening back in the day. But when you look at his paintings, you can see that he painted on top of it and on top of it and over, and things were just a random blobs of pigment. Um, uh, and then he, with the layers and just seeing it how it look on paint on the canvas, then he adjusts things accordingly. Um, both, whether we're talking about the Florentine school or Venetian school, they both have incredible results. They both arrive to the same uh, godly destination, but they took a different route. And none of them, there's no one better than the other. I think that comes down to your own preference, or your style of painting, rather. What do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy to prepare and figure it out everything beforehand, or do you just go and just start throwing pigments on canvas? I would suggest you to do both. And used one when the situation asks for it, and another when the different approach is needed. I guess that's why art is so awesome, for lack of a better words. That's why I think the art is so awesome, because you have there's infinite amount of routes that you can take to get to that, um, uh, like I said, godly destination. Like and when I say godly, I'm over exaggerating, of course. I don't mean to uh, insult anybody. I'm just trying to give you that, the hyperbolic example. Yeah, I think it's working with that position. And right now we just need to be, again, I when I'm looking at this, the shapes are starting to work the way that I want to. I just have to make them a little bit more um, coherent, I guess. And that's that stage that I go into in my head, that I described in that Discord, short Discord paragraph. Is that, there's abstract art in my head, then it's impressionism, and then it's naturalism, and then rinse and repeat. I might be right now satisfied with the abstract shapes, because I'm, there are portions that are completely abstract shapes only. There are portions that they are starting to look impressionistics, and there are portions that are starting to move a little bit more towards that naturalism, right? And it's easier for me right now to overlay, like, let's say I have abstract ideas, like this is completely abstract, right? This is completely abstract. Maybe it's starting to be a little bit more impressionistic. This is definitely abstract painting, and this, you can call it only abstract painting, right? But I can start imagining a little bit more information on that abstract shape. But I cannot, maybe I could in future, maybe I will be able to in the future, to be able to skip it. Like I can't go from abstract to more naturalistic. I can only go from abstract to impressionism, and then when I see impressionism, then I can go a little bit more towards naturalism, and only that I can say, oh, I like it, and if I don't like it, scrape it, and I can't, and I have to go back to abstract. That's what that rinse and repeat means in my mind. I think another problem is that this needs to be a little bit more, and this is not enough. Okay, yeah, that's not enough volume there. It doesn't have enough volume. Yep, and maybe it should go a little bit more higher up, like here. So it's one in front of another. Same with the joints. Maybe even more here to push it this way, right? And then it turns here inward a little bit. Right now it looks like he's like a Hulk hands, but that's okay because again, this is that shape stage. Maybe a little bit of impressionism there, but just a tiny bit. So I could push that a little bit more this way. And behind from here and there. And then I can go, well, here is your, then you have a shoulder that goes down, and then we have a hand or biceps and forearm, and this could be all in the darkness, and then I can maybe cut it in here. Right? So one hand is going, maybe that's too much. So I'm going a little bit more into that, describe that shape a little better. Maybe I'm thinking about that. Maybe the position should be different, the muscle rotation. Maybe I should show a, let me think, maybe I should show the top part right here. And then it hits here. This is where the wrist is, and then it curves inward. Then it curves inwards, and then it would go this way and here. Maybe a little bit more outside this way. This is the top part. So we have this. Like so. And then as it goes up, it goes in. Right here, where the shoulder is going to be. Well, this is tough. think of that one more time. And what better way to continue than scrape all this away? I'm starting to add more and more paint. And that's not what I want. Shoulder, and then we're going to have a dip inside, and then again outside, and arm. Here, could be the wrist. Here could be the wrist. And then it continues towards the knuckles right here. So this would be the light part. And then from here, it's the forearm. And then here I can have shadow. And this is where the stuff behind the hands could be. Maybe I could add a little bit more of a thumb area. And there's a wrist, forearm, shoulder, hand, biceps. But I could also then let's get here with this a little bit more. Now let's go way lighter. So it kind of, yeah. I know it looks like a Popeye, but it's okay. It's just we're working on it. That's that shape design, you know. That's all what it is about. Maybe I could push this a little bit more out. That might actually work. What if he is... let me think of this. What if he is... When I'm not thinking about this right. This is where it goes, here and here, and maybe I could show, maybe this could go here, and he's carrying or holding something that he's, okay, yeah, that might make sense actually a little better. So he's pulling something from behind him. This is his wrist. His hand is too small. So let's give it a little bigger hand. This is where his thumb is, and this is from behind. And then I could actually, and this is all just this is all in my head. There's no other way to describe this. And I think it we lost stream completely. Oh, you're super kind, DM7. Yeah, without you, I have literally nobody to. Well, who even wanted to watch this? That's true. It's just that the stream is bad, but It's okay. I'm really looking forward to see you again. So take your time. It's all good. So he's gonna pull something from behind, and I need to take a break as well. Not even a break. I have to go because I have another thing to do to attempt. But maybe I'll be able to. So it would be this way. Let's go behind. One hand is going behind, one is a front. He has the tilt. I move the tilt again towards here. That's fine. And then I could add a little bit more of this. Give him that belt that he needs, but maybe I could actually make this disappear here, and it does not need to be like there's going to be a dip right here that's going to show that, and then this is going to be a lighter value here. Maybe I could even push it a little bit more. That might have been too much, but it's okay. And then this is going to appear here, maybe here, and then it could again can go like like it has these folds around here. But since there's a dip there, you kind of know that that's where it continues and goes behind. And then maybe we could have like a little lighter values here as it shows through. So it just, poke from behind. And maybe even cut it here. That might look too heroic, but that's okay. It's just as I'm going to develop it, it's just going to lose that. Maybe not. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's all good. My camera is shaking a bit. I think this is going to help because right now I had a lot of action on this side. That's happening right here, pointing that direction, and they were all static. So shifting his pose a little bit more active, I think it might bring a little bit more action to that, and I can actually push him even more here. So it will touch the oh yeah. Now we're getting somewhere. Cool, and I can maybe push even more saturation there. Here. To create that maybe here. How would it look if he's pushing something from? This would be whole. So we can make this dark. So it could be like this. Oh yeah. Oh no, now we're cooking with gas. This could go into a. Yep. And up into his shoulders behind him. Can make a little muscle break right here and into all the way here. Yeah, and then create a something that he's holding in his hand, like so, going in behind. Just a little suggestion, maybe even more. Like it's going in. Maybe make it darker. So it pops a little bit. That might be a little too much because it's getting. Okay, and that would give me a nice kind of a, it's going from all the way up here, here, and then it rotates behind and down behind the shoulder. So we have that twist. Yeah, but it's just going to be a little lower. Okay, cool. So it's going behind here, and then it turns there. Which would give me exactly enough space to create this, put it into a shadow. maybe a little lower. Maybe you should go a little lower. Okay, I know why there is a problem with internet connection. There is a really strong rain downpour, I would call it outside. I'll open the window so you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it, but I opened the window. It's finally it's way better. The air is so fresh right now. yeah, I think I'm gonna stop over stream right here, right now, because I have to go and deal with some other. Other thing regarding my visa, but maybe this way. Yep. And then this is going to be darker as it goes behind. I could make that area lighter. Maybe even I need to clean my palette. I'm starting to make dirty colors. When I say dirty, I mean that I'm mixing into a mixture, and it's starting to collide into each other. The way that I don't like. So I always talk about this, that it's important to clean the palette. So let's make sure that I'm not only talk about that for once. And let me squeeze some more. Okay, so another yellow ochre is gone. And I have to say that this yellow ochre is extremely weak. I don't know why I have that feeling, but the other feeling that I have is not only it's extremely weak, it's just it feels too smooth. Like it does not have enough body that I need for this type of painting. So I might go and see if I can find a different brand. Different manufacturer, because this one is not really what I'm looking for. And just hear me out. This is I don't mean that this is bad. It's just not the one that I need. All right. You know me. I'm trying to use every little bit of every drop of paint. I really need that paint. Okay. So let's take this, a little bit of that blue, and then maybe like a little light, maybe around this edge right here, and maybe a little bit here, like so. Just a little bit. Oh, that might be too light. Okay. Never mind. I can always go with this there. Yep. Right. And then there's a area that can be dark, and then I can also put it a little bit here. Maybe a little lighter. To show that he's behind and he's being lit from the side, one side. shoulder. That's right here. Might be lit as well. There might be a little bit of a shadow. And then as it goes out, same thing here on the top. Maybe I could make it all lighter here. Okay, that's way too small compared to this. Ah, that's what bothers me. Okay, now I'm talking. So it could go even lower here. And then it has to go up and around this way. Like so. And then maybe I could make it a little bit more, a little less from here. So it is there, but it isn't. Yep. Oh, I think this could work. I think it's still there. And then I'm gonna make him a little darker later on. All right, I think I'm gonna um, stop here for now. Take a little break for lunch, and maybe I'll, if the internet connection allows me, maybe I'll join again after late supper, late lunch. Actually, it was awesome today. Thank you for joining me. I am, like kind of a halfway point through the day with the painting. I painted 3, maybe 4 hours plus and minus, and I'm gonna continue painting. Um, if circumstances allow me to. Also, I want to point out that even though I'm not here, I'm not streaming. You still continue with your own work, with your own pace. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't feel forced to right now stop because I'm stopping. Quite the contrary, you should actually, if you feel that you have more energy and you are in that creative process, just take it far, a little bit more further than I feel like I'm like in the spot where I'm starting to overwork things. So I'm gonna clean my palette. I'm gonna reset. I'm gonna have a little bit, little something to eat, and relax, chill, look at something else for maybe hour, half an hour, depends, and yeah, and then I'm gonna either continue painting or at least I'll take a picture and I'll do then little adjustments. Not Don't think of this as a not continuing with the creative process. This is still going to be in the back of my head even when I'm walking towards towards home, towards dormitory, to get something to eat. I'm gonna still be looking and observing and thinking about how people move, how they walk, what they do, how they bend, and maybe I'll how they sit, whatever, lay down, whatever that is, how they react. Maybe like I'm looking right now for the position, and when I'm doing it, it might be a little too staged. But I can go outside and see and look at people how they're walking dogs, right? So you'll see the little leash, and then sometimes they pull them, sometimes the dog pulls them back and forth. So you're going to see the movement of the body trying to keep it in balance. Because at this point, like I mentioned, it's not necessarily about getting the anatomy right. It's more about making sure that the gravity works with the gesture, and then find these anatomical landmarks that will describe the form. That's way more important for me than just perfectly drawn anatomical structure. So this is what's going to be in the back of my head, and that's something that I carry with me outside. So even if you're not directly painting and putting pigments on the canvas, it does not necessarily mean that you're not continuing with that creative discourse and creative or with finding and creative solutions to composition. So because sometimes I not sometimes I remember that I used to be like, oh no, I have to paint, I have to paint, I have to paint, I have to paint, and I did not allow myself to think about what I'm doing, and sometimes it felt, well, most of the time it felt forced. It's almost like you don't know when to stop pushing it, and it's starting to break, because it's like with an exercising, you're exercising a muscle, and that muscle needs recovery time. So I'm giving myself a recovery time from actual painting, so I can switch to creative a part of my brain, right? So it needs to be exercise as well. So that's like a quick plan for what's going to happen next, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Take care.